League of Legends has risen to the ranks of the top IPs in the world. We are the league owners, we are the IP owners, we're also the game publisher. That's a lot of responsibility.
Alexa Ng is a former competitive sports person and now the principal of Esports Business Development for Riot Games. In this episode, forget the Super Bowl, forget the World Cup. The world's fastest growing stadium is digital and the fans are spending billions. We talk to the titans behind Riot Games, the powerhouse capturing over 215 million monthly players and locking down the demographic every advertiser is desperate for, Gen Z. Alexa, you're not just running a game anymore, you are running a literal universe. With Arcane winning Emmys, League of Legends pushing 15 years now. How does Riot view that transition from just a video game company to a massive entertainment IP holder comparable to Marvel or Disney?
There's actually an ongoing joke within our community that Riot Games is a music company who happens to make great games. In fact, what we have done, for example, is to take our Runeterra champions, for example, and that's the world that League of Legends is built around. We created a virtual music group called KDA, and they have produced platinum records with over 650 million views on YouTube. And this is all before K-pop Demon Hunters, mind you. We have done that years before K-pop Demon Hunters came out. League of Legends is now one of the top grossing IPs in the world, alongside with Disney IP like Star Wars, Marvel, and all of that. Whether it's the world of Runeterra or the world of Valorant, there are just so many opportunities.
Now, when we look at your actual data, it shows that over 70% of Valorant players are Gen Z. Traditional sports are absolutely struggling to keep young viewers engaged. But what is it that you guys are doing right, that the NBA or maybe the Premier League is doing wrong when it comes to that sort of retention and that sort of engagement as well?
Yeah, I think let's focus on what Riot Games is doing right. In addition to all that rich lore and that stylish IP that we've created around our games, I would say that the main contributing factor to our success amongst the Gen Z audience will be our very player-focused approach in everything that we do. We have seen that players are actually more likely to pick up a game when it's localized in their language. So what we've done is to make localization a core part of our strategy in terms of reaching a regional player base. In the case of Gen Zs, it's not simply about publishing a game in their language. We also work with influencers and KOLs to ensure that we continue to keep the Gen Zs engaged. And really, all of these people form a big part of that community that we support as a gaming company. On localization, when it comes to esports, localization is also a very important strategy that we take. We actually localize our broadcast in multiple languages to cater to the Asia-Pacific audience. And we also focus on bringing live events to fans in this region. And we have done so in markets like Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam. All of these places across Southeast Asia. That's one core focus for us as well as part of our strategy.
So you talk about localization being so important for you guys, and 2025 was a massive year for this region with the launch of League of Legends Championship Pacific covering Southeast Asia, Japan, Taiwan as well. Why consolidate that focus now? Is Asia a primary growth focus for you guys and maybe also for esports in general as well?
Yeah, Asia is actually the biggest region for Riot Games. It is our most important region for growth and one that we're really focusing on. If you look at the Asian market, there are actually differing levels of maturity for us. And I can maybe use a few examples. If you look up a bit more north in Korea, Korea is actually the home of one of our most mature esports leagues called the League of Legends Championship Korea, or LCK. And one of the big reasons behind its success is because the government has supported esports and recognized it very, very early on. And that has contributed to the state that it is in today. And that actually makes it one of the most matured esports leagues that we have globally for Riot Games.
The Asia-Pacific dominates esports participation and viewership, accounting for more than half of global fans. China alone has over 400 million esports fans. South Korea is also a key hub, particularly for League of Legends, while Southeast Asia is the fastest growing region in the world. North America and Europe contribute significantly to sponsorship and media revenues, and there is significant growth in Latin America, as well as the Middle East, India, and Africa. Let's talk about prize money, because that is always a hotly talked about topic. The media loves the big grand prizes, but the top-heavy payout structure very often starves the rest of the ecosystem. So how is it that you can go about creating a balance maybe to ensure that you have life-changing jackpots for the champions that everybody is looking to for that wow moment, but then also ensuring that those in your 8th, 9th, 10th places are also walking away, being able to keep the lights on or the computers on and still be able to go out there and keeping this their main thing for the next season?
I think the most direct way that Riot Games can support these teams is to provide these prize pools as incentives. However, the winning team doesn't take all of the money though. In fact, we do split out, we do share actually the prize pool across all teams. Of course, with the winning team getting the lion's share of it. So if I were to use League of Legends Worlds, which is our year-end championship for League of Legends, the prize pool for this year was $5 million. Mind you, this was actually double of what we have offered in the past 2 years because this is a space that we believe so much in and we want to invest.
I was going to say that's a heavy investment though, like doubling the money is huge. That's very bold, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. And you know, if you look at this $5 million, the top team, the winning team, they got $1 million. The remainder of the $4 million was all shared amongst all the teams and depending on how they had performed in the league.
Do you feel that this participant-first audience forces you to broadcast differently and maybe forces you to perhaps focus on a more educational meta-analysis instead of just pure entertainment then compared to traditional sports broadcast?
The idea is to really inspire fans and players who are watching. This is what we like to call a watch-play loop. You know, our hope is that we produce these high-value production esports events that can inspire fans to play the game. And in turn, we also hope that players will get inspired to watch esports to really see their favorite in-game content come to life in a big way through esports. So essentially, you play what you see and you watch what you play.
You're creating this entire little ecosystem that just feeds itself. It's remarkable. NBA governs basketball, but they don't own the concept of basketball. So I guess it falls back to what you were saying. Riot, however, owns the IP, has the code and the service for League of Legends then. So how does this absolute ownership then change the relationship with the fan?
Yeah, you know, if I were to use a sports analogy, in some ways we are like the FIA and the F1, and even more, all combined into one. So we are the Esports Federation, we are the league owners, we are the IP owners, we're also the game publisher. That's a lot of responsibility. But it's great, you know, it actually gives us a lot of control and autonomy to ensure that we really build the most optimal player experience across everything that we do. We actually use esports as a platform to really promote our game's lore and IP. We are very intentional about ensuring that new game content that launches, for example, or new champions or agents that launch, we want to tie that in seamlessly with our esports events. We have very big ambitions as a company. For example, for Valorant, we are aiming to be the greatest competitive game of all time. And with that great ambition, we do need a very robust anti-cheat system in order to be able to reach that goal. You know, as what I said earlier, the expression of IP across all of these mediums, music, art, fashion, esports, you're going to continue to see that because that's a big part of our strategy in terms of engaging that core gaming audience. You're also going to continue to see major events that we bring to market across the region, really as a fan service. I think these would be the key things that you can expect from Riot Games moving forward.
Thank you. A big thank you to our special guest Alexa Ng, Principal of Esports Business Development for Riot Games in APAC. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of I See Your Trade Season 6. I See Your Trade is brought to you by IC Markets, a leading high-performance trading provider. See you next time.